So I made a video over 3 years ago now, going through the kitchen design, how much everything costs, breaking down all the design elements of the kitchen, even going down to the details of measurements. And we got this kitchen from Howdens. I talked about all the costs, so if you are looking for a video like that, then I have linked it down below. But in this video, I thought I would go through all of the kitchen design loves and all of the kitchen design regrets that I have 4 years later. So yeah, we've had this kitchen for almost 4 years, it's coming up to 4 years, and I think there's a good amount of time for you to see what really works and what doesn't work. We are a family of 4, so obviously there's aspects of we want it to look nice, but also it needs to be practical and hard wearing. And so I'll talk about in this video the things that I would do again in a future kitchen and the things that I would definitely change as well. So if you're in the process of designing your own kitchen, then hopefully this video will be really helpful for you. So I'm going to start with the pros and then I'll go to the cons afterwards. Pro number 1 is the idea of having a hob in the island. I would absolutely do that all over again. A big reason for that is because I feel like it helps you to be sociable, depending on how your house is situated. So for me, my dining table is basically where you are. I actually even have a TV in that section. So sometimes if I'm here and I'm cooking, I want to watch a bit of TV, I can easily watch it. Or if my kids are at the dining table, I can easily access. Or if people are sitting at the island, then it makes for a sociable space. So this is always a big yes for me. The other thing that we put in the island is an extractor. We didn't want an extractor in the ceiling, which we could have done, but we didn't want to do that. Instead, we've kind of got this light above my head as a focal point. But we needed to have an extractor, at least that's what we were told by our builders. But I hear now apparently you don't technically by law need one, but that's not what we were told. So we had to find a way to have an extractor. So we've got one in the island. It's great, it just comes up. Let me just turn it on now actually. And it's just seamless. You can't even really see that it's in the island much. It just works really well. So from a design element point of view, I think it just looks really well. It's always quite impressive still to this day, 4 years later when it comes up, it feels quite grand. However, I would say it doesn't have the strongest extraction. So if you really do like to cook and you're cooking something that's going to create a lot of smells, you still really need to open a window because I wouldn't say this is quite strong enough. It is extracted outside, so for this is extracted under the floor when we built this extension. But even with that, I think you probably would get a stronger extractor if it wasn't this design. I'm not too sure, but yeah, there's pros and cons, but overall, it looks really sleek and it avoided us having a extractor in the ceiling. So the next thing is a hot tap. I think this is probably the future for most people. It just makes sense. You can integrate it. It's just one tap. But one side that gives you boiling water and the other side is a regular mixer tap. We don't actually have a kettle anymore, so for 4 years we've been without a kettle. We both, my husband and I both drink tea and coffees throughout the day, so it gets used a lot. The thing is, the tap itself was I think a couple like £300–400, so it's expensive for a tap. However, the bit that seems more expensive actually is the fact that you need to replace the filter every 6 months. But that is the bit that seems to be quite expensive. But for the amount that we use it, it's just a no-brainer for us. We would always have a hot tap in any kitchen that we design in the future. The next thing is the 2 ovens. So this is just a regular oven, which is great. And then over here is a microwave oven. So we mainly use it as a microwave. However, there has been the odd occasion where we do need 2 ovens, namely Christmas time, so you don't need it a lot throughout the year. I also, for the design element, liked the symmetrical look of it, and I needed to put a microwave somewhere, but one that kind of looks like an oven, so that works quite well. And then under the oven is a warming drawer, which basically, yeah, you can keep plates in here, warm food. I have actually used it a fair amount over the years. I wasn't too sure how much use it would get, but I think it's one of those things that I don't use all the time, but if I didn't have it, I would feel it. So I would always get that in any kitchen that I design in the future as well. The next thing that I really love in this kitchen is a mirrored splashback. So it works really well. It doesn't get very dirty very often. However, that is largely because there's nothing on this side that would dirty it. There's no sink on this side, there's no hob. So there isn't really things that splash onto it. So it's quite easy to maintain. But the good part of having a mirrored splashback is that it kind of extends the space. So it makes it feel a bit bigger than it is probably. And another nice aspect is when you're sitting at the kitchen island, if you want to have a quick look at yourself, then you've got the mirror there to look. So it works. So drawers, I have one set of drawers. I think I'll insert a clip. I have one set of drawers right here under the hob, and there are three separate drawers, one for the cutlery, and then two kind of deeper drawers. One holds plates and bowls, things like that, and then the other one holds pots and pans. And so I find that with the drawers right under the hob, it's very practical when you are cooking, because you can get the plates out and dish up, or the pots are right underneath, so you're not like lugging pots across the kitchen, it's all right there. So drawers are quite handy, definitely to have under a hob, and if you can get some deeper drawers to have some pots and pans and some plates, so when you're dishing out food and cooking, it just makes for a much more seamless process. So one of the things that we were offered when designing this kitchen from the worktop people was to get some grooves over here next to the sink. I ultimately decided I didn't want that, because I just wanted it to be a clear space when I wanted it to be without the grooves. But I've also read up a lot that for people who have grooves, it's actually pretty annoying because the water often gets caught in there and then it becomes like quite grimy. So that is a design decision that, well, that's a bit of a tongue twister, design decision that I'm really glad that I made, and I would probably stick to next time. I simply just use, I think I spoke about this in a previous video, I just literally use this pull out Joseph from Joseph draining rack, God, can't remember, and that way you can pop it away when you want to, but it's always there, so it fits perfectly here. And yeah, but if you want it to be like a clear, nice space, then you can easily create that as well, and you don't have the water gathering in the grooves. So a pull-out larder is something that some people love and some people hate. I have not had one issue with it in 4 years. In fact, this is probably the emptiest I've had it. I usually have it really, really packed with tins and cans of everything, and it's never come off the runner, which I've heard some people say. I've just never had any issues at all. It's used every day, multiple times a day. I've never worried about weight. It's normally just packed to the brim, and I think it is pretty great, to be honest. If you don't have like a standalone pantry unit, then this is a good alternative. Maybe a big one would be nicer in terms of more storage, more space, but overall I've had not one problem. So I would definitely recommend it to anyone who needs some good storage solutions. Similarly, we have a spiced rack, which is also a pull-out. I'll insert a clip right next to the hob. Absolute game changer. This is something that I will always have and advocate. Having your spices right next to your hob is, yeah, a luxury in life that I think everyone needs. But yeah, this is a pretty wide spice rack, I guess. You can get the 150mm ones. This is a 300, so I can fit loads of spices on there, but I can also put tins and cans in there if I want to, but definitely a design element I would recommend. And then last but not least, the quartz worktop. So went for quartz because we wanted something that would be really hard wearing but also look nice. We know marble is too expensive, but also it's porous, so it gets stained quite easily. Laminate is cheaper, not as hard wearing, and so I went for quartz and love it, love it, love it, love it. It looks really, really good. 4 years in, we get all sorts of things on this. I find that the like turmeric is one of the hardest ones to come out. A bit of bleach or a bit of baking powder, baking soda, bicarbonate of soda helps to take it out quite easily, and that we don't actually have any stains that haven't come out. But yeah, quartz is hard wearing, and so I would definitely do it again without a shadow of a doubt. Hot things, there have been occasions where I've literally just forgotten to put something on the counter, so I take a hot tray out of the oven and put it directly on the counter, and it's not even made a mark, so that is pretty amazing. Now for the cons, let's go through the things that I would do differently. I'm going to start with the sink, because this is definitely something that I would not do again. I love the fact that I've got the hob here and the sink there, and it does make for, like, when you're prepping dinner and stuff, it really does make life easier because I'm not carrying food over the floor, so I think you get less mess on the floor. However, I think that, like, socially, having the chairs there at the island and having the sink there is just not very nice. So the times that I sit there, the only time that it, you know, feels comfortable is if the sink is spotless. If the sink isn't spotless, it's just not nice to sit there because you don't want to see anything in the sink. And especially when you have guests, then you have the pressure to always have the sink spotless, and sometimes when you've got a young family, it's just hard to maintain that. So the sink in the island, I wouldn't do again. The other thing that is really annoying is our island is apparently level, like we've checked it ourselves, it seems level, but the water does run from the sink over here, which again, if you're sitting over there, is so annoying. It's probably actually the thing that annoys me the most about this kitchen is the dripping of the water. So yeah, it's just not going to be for me in a future kitchen. I wouldn't have the sink, even though I love this concept right here. I totally back why I decided it, but yeah, that at the end of the day is pretty annoying. It took me years to find something that actually would hold the water, because water would often get trapped underneath these things and it would still end up leaking. This one, it doesn't, but it does get grimy quite a lot. The other thing I would change is the bin. So the bin is 300 millimeters. I would definitely get a 600 millimeter bin, because with the 300 millimeter bin, all you have is, you can only fit one bin in there, and it'd be good to have the black bin and the recycling next to it. So I would definitely get a bigger bin in the next kitchen. And it's not that I didn't plan or want a bigger bin in this kitchen, we just didn't actually have the space for a bigger one, and to also get the other design elements that we wanted. But next time I would prioritise that and find a way to get a 600 millimeter space for a bin. This one is an interesting one. I would not get these handles again. I like the contrast of the gold against the black or dark grey cupboard, but they're pointy. The edges are really pointy, and what I have found is, like, I have banged my leg against that multiple times when my son is running around. He's actually never hurt himself, which is amazing, on these handles, but he could very easily do it, and I'm conscious of the fact when he's running around that I want to make sure he's not close to the handles, which isn't practical. So next time I would choose handles that don't have such a pointy edge. So the next thing I think I would change is, well, we didn't have the space for this in this kitchen, and I did want it, but I would definitely next time have somewhere to put all of the breakfast bits. So like the toaster, the sugar and the teas, the eggs. It would be nice to be able to put them away and hide them. Obviously, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't look bad, but I would like the option to have it be seamless if I want it to be seamless. So before I spoke about a big pro for me being having a set of drawers under the hob, in my dream world, I would have another set of drawers right next to it, and then hopefully a dishwasher next to that or in between, because I think it would be great to have a drawer, a cutlery drawer that's not right under the hob. One of the things that I find annoying is if I'm cooking or my husband is cooking and one of us needs to get to the cutlery, the person who is cooking kind of needs to move out of the way to get to the cutlery drawer. These really are, like, not a huge deal in the grand scheme of things. they really are first world problems, but when you are designing the kitchen and you want it to flow, sometimes it's just important to think about these things. So I would ideally actually have this drawer right under the hob. Instead of having cutlery in it, I would have all the cooking utensils, because that makes sense. When I'm cooking, I can easily access. And then I would like another drawer somewhere over there where the cutlery is, so if someone needs to access it, I then don't need to move when I'm cooking. I would like a drawer for the pots and pans and the plates right here, but again, if someone needs to access, get a plate or a bottle, I don't want to have to move. It'd be good to have another set of drawers that have plates and bowls in. And also, not all my pots and pans fit in this drawer, some have to go into a cupboard, so it'd be good to have another drawer where I could have additional pots and pans. And then last but not least is having a sky lantern above the island. Now, the really nice aspect of having a sky lantern above the island is the fact that it does let down a lot of light. The sky lantern is over here, so this section is really well lit. But the only thing with that is sky lanterns, which I would also not get again. In the summer, for instance, when we have the bifolds open and flies come in and out or bees come in and out, they often actually fly up into the sky lantern because it's a big mass of light and they think they can fly through, and then they get stuck. And so what happens is they end up dying up there on the ledge, and you just have loads of flies and bees up on the ledge of your sky lantern. But if you have that above your where you're cooking and like your island, it's not very pleasant. At least it's over the sink and not over the hob, because my worst nightmare would be I'm cooking and a dead fly falls into my food. That would be awful. So that's never happened, and again, it's over the sink. But just to avoid it being in the kitchen in general, I either wouldn't get a sky lantern above the island or any worktop space, or I would get like a Velux window or something, or a flat skylight where bees and flies can't get trapped on the ledge. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope it's been helpful. If you also have any pros or cons that you have found in your kitchen that you're willing to share, then please write them down below. I know the last video has got many thousands of views, so I think it's helped a lot of people. So for this video, hopefully again it gets out, and yeah, if you've got any tips to share, then please write them down below. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video soon.